Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are going over, this is redacted news. What is DIIA? I know nothing about exactly what this is. It was just a little bit of preliminary research, so I knew how to introduce it to you guys. I know Jerry doesn't know anything about it, but it has to do with Ukraine. It has to do with our money that gets sent over there, developing a new special technology. Let's get into this.
One of the big stories that hasn't gone reported at all is the digital transformation of Ukraine. Many people don't know that the Zelensky government has created a laboratory, turned Ukraine into what they call a digital transformation. What is this all about? Dan Cohen just filed this investigation.
Director Samantha Power appeared at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland to promote a digital identification smartphone app called DIIA.
And one of the most incredible things that Ukraine has developed over the last few years is an app called DIIA that now delivers 120 services to the people of Ukraine.
The DIIA app is a central plank in this process. It digitizes and centralizes documents, records, and government and business transactions all into a digital identity. This offers an unprecedented system of surveillance and control. The DIIA project is funded primarily by US aid as part of its larger project to implement digital ID systems throughout the world.
One of the big stories that hasn't gone reported.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's what we need. Give them a little more control.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not just control, right? So this is this a necessary stepping stone. I mean, it is control, but this is a necessary stepping stone for social credit score.
What the hell is Ukraine? Since when did Ukraine become this topic over and over? I mean, the more I hear about what's going on in Ukraine, the more I'm thinking, what took Putin so long?
Right.
I mean, if that's where they're breeding all this crap. I mean, the bio labs, weapons, which they definitely were with Fauci,
Yeah,
is
100%.
is
Kiev had a Wuhan-like lab
yeah, and funded by us,
funded by us. Yeah.
in large part, and it's why are they taking our tax dollars and then using it to enslave us? It's well, we know why, but why are we allowing it?
I know.
Because we're paying for the shackles going on our ankles, and and we better watch it, because if they get this technology to a certain point where we can't get away from it, they'll own us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nearly almost there, right? Because right now the financial system, I mean, Biden just passed within the last couple months the digital currency, which on the front end, the digital currency concept, you were like, well, our currency is all digital now. No, it's not actually. It's paper backed by digital, right? The digital is backed by paper. They're talking about digital currency in which paper goes away. So
like paper ballots.
Right. Yeah, but here's
see how that works out in the elections.
Right, and here's what they're selling the benefit as, which it comes with a phenomenal benefit for anybody who's ever done a wire transfer or a ACH transfer. You know how like it could take 3 to 5 business days, 7 days. You know, it could take 14 days, and it's your money, right? And you're like, why can't?
So
I have no idea how that system works. It's what?
So they can sell you into this. Remember the commercials they ran when they were pushing all the debit cards and credit card stuff? And I mean, I remember when they started really coming out, even credit cards, and they had show pictures on commercials of some guy woman standing in a line at a store paying cash, and it would take forever. All the people behind him are all like, "Oh man!" And then she'd get her stuff. Then they just take their card and plug it in, and then boom, off they go, and boom, off they go, because we're selling it. And that's what they're doing, so they can
so they're using the issues with the old system, ACH and wire, as like this will now instantaneously perform those functions. It'll be more secure, blah blah blah. You know, the standard talking points. But what they don't tell you is that when they eliminate cash, you can't have a run on a bank, which, well, you're like, oh, well, that would be a bad thing, right? But run on banks, no. A run on a bank means that institutionally things are failing, and you need to get as much money as you can get, because SHTF is only 5 seconds away from whenever it was when it starts, right? Like your world of SHTF could be like this, and if now no longer you can get money, or let's say you're digital currency only, and the government says, yeah, you put out that YouTube video we just don't like, so we're just going to prevent you from accessing your money. So we're building the digital currency side of it. Ukraine is building the documents, the digital document side of it. You marry those two and you parent it with ESG, because ESG is only corporate right now. See, corporate America.
What's ESG stand for?
Environmental, social, and governance. So instead of your 3 credit scores, Experian, and you know the 3 credit scores, right?
We did a video on this.
Yes, we've done done videos on it. So they're going to replace.
If you don't know what Mac's talking about, go back and check our videos because we did a pretty good in-depth one on this. Just saying.
Exactly. And what's going to happen is, so they'll, the corporate America is experimenting or is actively involved or using by force of investment ESG to basically be able to pull loans. Then the civilian population is now being pushed into digital currency, and Ukraine is building digital documentation. All you marry digital documentation, and you marry digital currency into one singular system, and you implement ESG, or what is known as the social credit score from like China. Once that happens, it's over. Game over. It's checkmate. You won't be able to buy a thing. As a matter of fact,
hey, hang on a second there. You know what you do? You work outside of that system.
And that's where a lot of the silver and gold guys are saying, like, your only real transactions will be able to be handled probably by silver, because gold is not realistic. It never has been. Gold is for governments. Gold is for companies, businesses, or very wealthy, right? Because let's be real. If gold ever hit the dollar value it was actually worth, which I think is around $11,000 an ounce, you're not going to go and trade a 1 ounce gold coin for a loaf of bread, right? It's unrealistic. It always has been. Silver has been the real trading volume, and then you match your silver to gold. Yeah, the common currency is silver, or even bronze. Bronze,
or
silver. Well, as long as it's in the shape of it. As long as it's exactly.
As long as it's coated in copper.
Yes, yeah. Bullet currency always will have a thing. But I'm talking about civilized, outside the system currency. I think it's going to have to be silver and gold. The thing is it's one law. We've seen it happen in 1905, right?
Yeah.
You make gold and silver illegal.
Roosevelt did it. 34.
Oh, it was 34?
Yeah.
I thought
they had to turn all the gold in. That
was the turn the gold in. Prior to that, they made it illegal to buy and sell gold, and that lasted gold and silver, and that lasted. It was just you couldn't buy anymore, right? It was like you were no longer allowed to buy and sell. If you owned it, you owned it. That was okay. It was in 1934. I thought that's when they made it. You have to turn it in. Because then by 1971, we went on fiat, and they didn't want you to have gold when you switch over to fiat because there's instantaneous inflation, right? Yeah. There's like, where's the dollar going to sit? And you can see the 1971 stock market crash was because it went on to fiat. And you look at the inflation charts of 1971. Arguably, you could really see it really. From look at the cars made in the 1960s and early 70s, really early, we're talking like 1970, versus the cars made in 1975, 78, 80, 81. The 70s and 80s was a real bad time for automotive. They looked terrible. I mean, yeah, Smokey and the Bandit looked kind of cool in the 78s, but it was a shitty car. You could not compare a 68 Trans Am to anything like a 1969 Corvette. Go look at the 1983 Vet. Versus even like the 2005, 10, 15 Vet or the 69 Vet. It was such a terrible time because of a switch of systems. When this digital thing does happen, when it really coalesces, you're probably going to see something extremely similar, except it's scarier, right? Because credit cards, they couldn't stop you from using them. we were talking about like credit cards. Like they really couldn't stop you from using them because it was a private company and you could have 10 different credit cards. But this,
a lot of work.
right. But this, they have the ability, just like they can strike your channel on YouTube, they can strike your bank account.
And you think about anybody that's got cash saved up, right? Maybe got 20 grand, maybe got 100 grand, maybe got a couple $100,000 in a safe, and you're thinking, well, I'll always at least have this cash. And I'm not talking about inflationary attacks on it, but if they go this, what they're going to expect you to do, and they're going to demand you do, is to turn it in.
Absolutely, and you'll have to, because your cash money isn't worth anything. Dollars are not. That's just paper. That's all that is. That's paper fiat. Notes. Right, and they are not. They are only backed by whenever the Federal Reserve says that this is still tender.
What it's worth.
Right. If they say now all cash dollars by, let's say, December 30th, 2023 are null and void, you must go exchange them into your local bank, deposit all of your cash in the bank. You better do it. Straight up. Do it.
Interesting. Because, yeah, in New Hampshire was, I don't know, it was maybe 20 years ago, something like that, 18 years ago. New Hampshire had toll booths. And they still do, and they had tokens, and they had the old man on the mountain, one of the state sites, right, on the coin, and it was like a coin, like, I don't know, quarter size or so about, and but they're kind of brassy looking or bronzy looking. I don't know what the hell they were made of. It wasn't gold or silver or copper, and that's what you would use to go through the toll booths, and Daddy had to throw cash. Well, they changed over the toll booths to quit taking tokens, and they did those automatic ones that everybody who's gone through a toll booth sees, where they don't have to have a person there, and you had to get a transponder, actually, is what you had to get. And so they left the window for while those tokens were still going to be accepted, and if you hadn't used them all or turned them all in by that point, they were worthless.
Yeah, one of the things
you're saying.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to add to this, because outside of what this video covered, I was reading a little bit more into DIIA, is that DIIA is actually on your cell phone going to have facial recognition, right? That's how they're going to secure that's how they're going to, quote, secure it. Well, the problem with facial recognition is that once it recognizes you, it sends the data to the database, right? The global database that is going to be your face.
Is that the one in Utah?
I don't know. I have no idea.
System they have in Utah, huge.
Probably. It was probably all linked. They're all linked together, and they're probably going to find which one is the best one to land on. And then here's the problem. These same, like, go to an airport. They've got facial recognition all over the airport. Those cameras aren't just recording video for video's sake. They're also facial recognition systems, just like the ones that Vegas uses. And if your phone is digitally grabbing your face, right, and it checks it, and then you walk into a place and it says, boom, checks it. Well, take something like what we experienced with Bundy's, or take something like what January 6th guys experienced. Okay, either one of those situations are a good way to mark this. What if you were, let's say, an informant, a news team, content creators, or in January 6th, the state police, okay? And you go out there with this big gun thing, right? But it's really just a camera. And you just scan everybody in the audience. Or if the Bundys, they had all those people out there. Think about all the people that were the press releases, not just the press teams, but also all the people that were part of the standoff at the wildlife refuge or anywhere, or just use a drone, right? Drones got really good technology these days, and their cameras are phenomenal. And they scan your face, right? Oh, it's all these people. Instantaneously, these are who they are. Shut all their bank accounts down right now. Boom. Now, how long are you going to do a standoff in January 6th with the Bundys when, well, you got no money now? Your cards don't work. Your bank account doesn't work. When you run out of gas, guess what? Your ass is walking. What do you do now? Like, they could shut down civil,
well, that's what they tried to do in Canada. right, with the truckers.
Right, but think about it. The way they had to do it with the truckers was slow.
Right.
Like it took them time to find the bank accounts, to attach it to this, to find the person that it was going to go to here. Oh, what Patreon was doing this, and then okay, we got to call up Patreon, and we're going to be like, oh yeah, you gotta shut that down. And then Patreon's legal team says, yeah, but we can't. And then they're like, well, we're the government. Yes, you will. And it takes weeks of back and forth and emails, and not anymore. One button.
Who wasn't on the January 6th? It was at YouTube or Facebook or one of them. Or one of the phone companies. It was one of the phone companies. They took and they gave all the information of anybody who was in Washington D.C. like a week or 10 days before to 10 days after, whatever that period.
Now imagine how much faster it is, though.
Oh yeah.
See, like that took somebody to call the phone company. Hey, can we get a list of everybody who has ran cell service cross state lines into your state or into Washington D.C. Right? And that's going to take weeks. They'll take weeks of data processing, even if they're doing it ahead of time and they're trying to transfer and try to see who's going to show up and see, movement lines and this, that, and other thing. That still takes time. And then even once they have the information, all they can do with it is, okay, FBI, can you go round up these guys? Or, do something like that, and that's communication transfer, like pings. But what if instead of having ping nodes like this, you eliminate it? You're like, that everybody that shows up at January 6th, doesn't matter whether you did anything good or bad, right? Maybe you were just there observing. You weren't even part of the protest. You were just observing. And they come out there with a big camera gun, and they're just like, scan everybody's faces. Okay, we got 150,000 faces. Shut all their accounts down, and you could just boom, click of a button, it's done. Like there's no calling Chase Bank and say, hey, can you close that bank account for that guy?
Try hiring an attorney when you don't have any money.
Right. Try to hire an attorney to unlock this stuff. How about civil asset forfeiture?
How about your mortgage? How about your car payment? You can't make them.
Right. So if you get in a situation in which they're going to be able to turn it off, oh, your mortgage is due. Oh, well, I guess you should have been good. Like this is serious.
They wouldn't be doing it, if you hadn't done something wrong. I mean, certainly our government would never do anything like that.
Oh, yeah. Government has never been known to do anything corrupt whatsoever, or political attacks. Like, I mean, think about Trump's situation right now. How crazy would it be if all of a sudden every bank account Trump is attached to, any account Trump is attached to, shut off? Oh yeah, he's indicted. We can't have him.
For a short period of time, they'd bankrupt him.
Right. It would take seconds to bankrupt him because he has big bills that are always coming in and money going in and out. And what if it's like, oh yeah, anybody who supports Trump during this time, you're a co-conspirator.
Well, that's where the attacks are right now.
Shut them all down. Everybody's bank accounts that have sent money to the Trump campaign, shut down.
Hey, I want to add something, Mac.
Yeah.
Mac was talking about Bundy's Ranch. For those of you who don't know, that in 2014 there was a problem with the Bureau of Land Management, otherwise known as the BLM, and not the Black Lives Matter, but the Bureau of Land Management, the FBI, and some of the local law enforcement. They were trying to seize Cliven Bundy's cattle, and the media bought the lie and fed the lie of what was going on out there. Mac and I were there, and Mac was actively filming it, and I was actively trying to keep anybody from getting killed, and we suffered all kinds of different attacks from the government because of that. I suffered quite a few. And sometime Mac and I will do a show on that, and we'll let you know exactly what happened, and because it's quite an interesting story. And it could be any one of us, not just me, not just Mac, but you. And for you black guys out there, you know what we're talking about, right? We were just talking about this on another segment. Is about that you guys have been getting nailed by law enforcement for a long time, a number of them, so it's quite interesting, and it's worth learning about. So you can Google a lot of that stuff. Max got some videos on it, some great videos on it actually, and also on one that happened out in Oregon.
Yep.
And propaganda against us was horrific. It was the full weight of the media going against us, trying to make it look like it was something it wasn't. And what Mac is saying is, if you're involved, you're trying to save somebody's life. You just want to block somebody getting killed who hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, there's no warrants for their arrest. There's nothing, and you want to stand up there and try to make sure that nobody gets hurt. Is you could be targeted by, just like some of those J6 people, the January 6 people are, and targeted just for even being around there or saying something about it. We've all been on Facebook and said something that the Czech crew didn't like, and next thing you know, right, they're blocking you, and
Yep.
And it happens, and they're limiting access for us to speak to one another, and because they don't want the truth out, and the truth is their enemy, and but the truth, like the scripture tells us, will set us free, and we need to stick together on those truths, and if they control the money, they're going to control everything, and because a lot of people will just fold up immediately. And it's like, oh, I can't say anything. It'd be like when the Nazis were coming and the Jews were shutting their windows and they're hauling their neighbor out. And they're going, well, don't say anything, because next thing you know, they'll get us. Well, they're coming for you, right? And they're just keeping you scared now, so you don't do anything.
It'll be faster and worse this time. Like, don't think that it is going to be. And this is for everyone out there. I know Jerry. Do not think that it is going to be at the same speed at which the SS moved on the Jewish population. They moved very slow. This will be so catastrophically, unimaginably bad that imagine in a situation like this. Let's go World War II, but we have all this technology all tied in and it works well. It's actively functioning. Okay.
No one would have escaped.
Right. Go to World War II, Germany. Hitler decides to say, okay, let's put the boot down on the Jews. We've already got facial recognition of all the Jews in the country. Shut all their bank accounts down now. Boom.
All
done.
their friends.
Right.
Their friends.
And their friends. Yeah. Anybody who's associated with a Jew, anyways, friends with Jews, if they even go to the grocery, shut all their bank accounts down. Then what I want you to do, put out a public service announcement on the news. If everybody had your bank account shut down, please come to one of these 12 locations. Okay. I'm just picking the number 12. I don't know how many concentration camps there were to get your bank accounts opened up.
Yeah. Report to Auschwitz.
Report to Auschwitz to get your bank accounts opened up. You show up. We don't even have to train your asses. Like you came to us.
Let's get in the gas chamber.
We shut you down. And
they've already robbed you.
Yeah.
Right. They've already robbed you.
Like the Jews that escaped had money to be able to escape, whether it is via train, car, walking, buying food at the grocery store, so you can just try to move through the wilderness. Well, guess what? When your money is gone like that, it makes it really hard to leave. Try to, like right now, play a thought experiment. Okay, here's a thought experiment. Your bank accounts get completely civil asset forfeited.
Right now.
Right now.
Right this minute.
I want you to leave the country from wherever you are in the States. I hope you live in Yuma, Arizona, San Diego, California, and the couple bordering cities in Texas. Because if you don't, walking to anywhere from where you are sitting is fucking possible. And I am not kidding.
The food you've got in your house right now, if you had to pack that up and take it, the clothes you've got, the gas in your car, or if you've got a 5-gallon gas can in the garage.
And that's all you got. That's it. Once your car runs out of gas, pull it over on the side of the road and now start walking. How far are you going to get? That's the question. And at the end of the day, well, they're like, well, I'll take them out. I'll get my guns and I'm going to go take food and I'm going to take. Okay, sure. Go ahead. But you are less than 1% of 1% that are violently going to try to escape the country and kill innocent people in order to do it. Everyone else and I know this, Jerry knows this, we've seen this time and time again. The Bundys, January 6th, there's only a small amount of people that have enough balls to actually be at gunpoint by the government. So the rest of you are going to just give in. You're just going to go wherever they tell you to go. And it might be just go to your local, in this case, go to your local police precinct and say, hey, I was at January 6th, but I was just watching because it was, it was historical. And
so then
now,
what they'll do is they'll call it a complex case and hold you in a detention center with no bail, so you can't get bailed out. And the complex case can take as long as they want to get you to trial.
Yeah.
They can the prosecution, the government can keep extending those court dates as much as they want.
And
the judge
even let's say hypothetically that they didn't want to put 150,000 people in prison, right? Okay, fine. Let's just say they let you go, but there's a little mark on your digital account now for the rest of your life. Anybody who's ever been on has had those little SSSS on their tickets.
That's four S's.
Yeah, that's 4 S's. Have you ever been friendly searched by TSA? Have you ever been randomly searched several times after security check? Do you remember that shit? When we were getting out of Burns, Oregon, I got my equipment searched 3 times prior to getting on the plane. As a matter of fact, so TSA search. I got searched mid us walking to the gate. I got searched at the back of the line, and I got searched halfway through the line. I got searched 4 times that day. Let me open up your case, in that case, it was my Pelican case because I had all my camera equipment, and puke the case. Let me see, I got a check for drugs. You didn't see them in the TSA security check the first time you violated me? Now you violate me 3 more times before I get on the... Bro.
And that's part of the point too, Mac, though, is they want to make you feel like a spectacle before everybody else, because it intimidates everybody else who doesn't know you, what's going on. They're like, wow, I wonder what that guy did, who that guy is, right? And then they want to attach the name terrorist to it. Right, it's just like child molester or a guy who doesn't pay his taxes.
Right.
The terrorist is the new one, or extremist, and and then everybody's going, well, I don't want to be like that guy. I don't know what he did, but I don't want to do it, which is exactly what happened with the Jews in Nazi Germany.
And now imagine this: I went there, and all I was armed with was a camera.
Where are you talking, Burns?
Burns.
Yeah. Me too.
That's all.
Yeah.
You too. You didn't. Yeah. You didn't even. You didn't even have a camera.
Yeah.
like
I wanted you to document it because I knew that they were going to pull some shenanigans, and I just didn't want to. I wanted the truth out there.
This was just us doing our First Amendment protected activities.
Recording.
That's it. Recording.
Yeah. Interviews, recording. That's all we did.
That's all we did. No guns on our side were involved. Yet we managed to get. We flew into Boise, Idaho, and we had 2 FBI agents waiting at the gate for us when we got out. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So we'll get into this story because this is such a long story. I might even go live for that one because there might be audience questions. On that note, I'm going to let this video go. It has been a longer one, so if you guys like this content, comment down below, like and subscribe. And see you guys on the next one.
Semper Fi.